Good evening, everyone. I'm Sushma here, joined from IIM Bangalore Alumni Office. Hope you can hear my voice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining the session today. A warm welcome to all of you. As you know, today's session will be taken by Ms. Nisheeta Bajaj and Mr. Dinesh Ghodke. And Nisheeta Bajaj is our alumnus of PGP 2000 from 2002 batch. And she is an executive coach to CEOs and business leaders. A warm welcome to Nisheeta, ma'am. Yeah. And then we have with us today Mr. Dinesh Ghodke, and he is from Art of Living, and he's an alumnus of IIT Bombay 97 batch, and he's an author, speaker, and a coach, and with the 25 years of experience in Art of Living. And a warm welcome to all of you. Yeah, welcome. So welcome, Dinesh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, over to you, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you, Sushma, and your welcome was very warm. So I think if we all found Sushma's welcome warm, it's a good time to turn our camera on. What do you say? So good evening, and lovely to be back on a Friday evening again. And it's a real pleasure actually to have Dinesh Ghodke with us today. But before we start, how is the volume? Is it all right? Yes? Wonderful. Great. So Dinesh and I have known each other for multiple years. And around the time, Dinesh, you were at IIT Bombay, I was doing a BSc in chemistry. You were chemical engineering, right?
Metallurgy and material science.
That's a pity. That's a pity. I thought we had a chemistry going on between us. Anyway, back to business on a Friday evening. So our topic today is obstacles to success. And those of you who know me know I'm a consultant by background, and consultants love asking questions, right? So let's begin by putting out a question to all of us here today. And before that, second invitation to turn our cameras on. So here's the question. What do you think makes you successful? And the chat box is a great place. We'd love to know what you think. So what makes you successful? Anything. It could be hard work. It could be luck. It could be wealthy parents. I see some things in the chat box, interesting. It could be the best boss of your life. Focus. Could be the worst boss of your life who prompted you to do something completely different. Happiness, that's interesting. Hard work. Confidence. As long as there's no conflict, karma. Very interesting. So you can see a set of very, very interesting responses in the chat box. But what I find even more interesting, what I found even more interesting over the last many years is that when you talk to people who are very, very successful, they will actually tell you that it's not about what makes you successful, but it's actually about what holds you back from success. Interesting, isn't it? I've been an executive coach for multiple years, worked with different business leaders and CEOs, and over the past 2 decades in working with them and in helping them be more effective and successful in their roles or in future roles that they desire to take on, I've distilled this into what I call the 4 obstacles to success. Now, the good news is that these obstacles are not insurmountable. So is everyone here familiar with Mount Rushmore? When I was young, we used to look at pictures of Mount Rushmore with the president's faces carved on them in America. Yeah. So we're not talking about those kind of obstacles which are cast in stone. Yeah. We're talking about obstacles that are like sandcastles in a way. So, they're easy to sort of remold. They're easy to perhaps jump over or break, or why bother wasting your time with all of that? Sometimes they're easy to just walk around as well. So those are the kind of obstacles we're going to talk about today. And by the end of today, you will all have an initial appreciation of what these 4 obstacles are. I didn't mean to put a thumbs up to what I'm saying myself, but so you'll have an appreciation of what these 4 obstacles are, as well as a very initial glimpse into what we call busting strategies for the 4 obstacles. So shall we dive into obstacle 1? I see a lot of success definitions still coming in. Yes. So for those of us who just joined in, at the outset, all we said was that, successful people, when you talk to them, successful people don't really talk about what has made them successful, but lay a lot of emphasis on what has held them back from success and how they've worked around that. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. So shall we dive into obstacle 1? No questions this time, maybe a little story to begin with. Yeah. So this is a story about a CEO I coached. I'm not permitted to share names, but I share the story with their permission. So let's pick a name. Let's call him David. Now, David was somebody I coached, and he was an interesting combination of 2 things. So on the one hand, David was very, very sharp. He had it all there, very fine mind, both analytically and conceptually. And then on the other hand, what he also had equally well going for him was that he was great with people. So he could mobilize people, very effective at networking. He just, he could handle every dynamic that involved people. Now you'd think that somebody like that with both a fine mind and the ability to mobilize and work with people effectively would be successful, right? How many of us think he'd be successful? Quick show of hands. Okay, wrong. So David actually hit a plateau more than twice. I think it was thrice, if I reflect on the conversations. That, of course, was before we started our coaching relationship. But he hit a plateau. So now time for a question. What do you think was missing? This time would be great if you unmute and just share a couple of thoughts so we can hear you as well. Empathy, lost his purpose. Technical skill, he was running a business. Passion, need to do better.
Maybe he was not practical, away from reality.
Away from reality, okay. Yeah, I suppose these are all plausible answers.
He wasn't taking risks.
Taking
Too complacent.
risks. Yeah, say that again, please.
He was too complacent where he was, so he wasn't taking risks to change the situation.
Exactly. So, and part of that was actually stemming from the fact that he lacked energy. And so this is obstacle number 1. It's what I call the inertia block, where you have great ideas. You may perhaps be great at multiple other things as well, but there's just an inertia that sets in. I don't know. In David's case, he was just sort of, in a way, use the word comfortable. I'm comfortable where I am. And that in a way stopped him from doing new things, bigger things, better things. So that was David for you. And think about it yourself. So let's do a little exercise together. Let's just sit comfortably and close our eyes for a few seconds and think of a time when you felt energetic. How did it feel? You probably felt ready to take on more. And now if you stay with yourself, with your eyes closed, and think of a time when you didn't feel energetic. So you felt enervated, you felt tired, you possibly had goals, but how did it feel? You didn't feel like you wanted to go out there, and despite the bestest of ideas, you perhaps didn't feel ready to take on new things. So that's the inertia block. And no prizes for guessing. If the problem with the inertia block is energy, the antidote to the inertia block is raising your energy. But how many of us actually make time to raise our energy every day? And I don't mean by drinking a cup of coffee or having a, sort of chocolate bar to give you a sugar rush. That's not the kind of energy we're talking about. How many of us actually make time every day to truly raise our energy? There's a great HBR paper that I coincidentally a few days ago stumbled upon, and it's called Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time. And it sums it up beautifully in one sentence. It says, I'll read it out to you actually. It says, the core problem with working longer hours is that time is a finite resource. Energy, on the other hand, is a different story. Now, Dinesh is an energy expert, endured by people across the world. So, Dinesh, what is your view on energy and raising it?
So the quickest way to increase energy is with a smile. We say there are 4 sources of energy. The first is, of course, food. We say refreshment. But the question is, after we have food, how many times do we really feel refreshed? After food, you feel, okay, come on now, let me take on whatever work that's remaining. No. If that's not happening, then either we're not eating the right kind of food, not at the right time, not in the right quantity, or not in the right manner, whatever. Food is the first source. Second source of energy is sleep. Sleep gives such amazing, deep energy. It's a source of energy that can stay with us for the rest of the day. It's like charging our whole system. And it needs to be done in the right quantity. And also, the quality of sleep needs to be better. Our third book is called Sleep Your Way to Success, and it talks about all these different aspects. So first is food, second is sleep, third is breath. Take a deep breath in. You're taking in so much oxygen. You have close to 37 trillion cells in your body. And every single cell is oxygenated with this breath of yours. And it gets detoxed as you exhale. All the carbon dioxide from all the cells is thrown out. So it's a cleansing as well as it's an energizing, the breath. And the fourth is a happy meditative mind. A happy mind, the more you smile, the more positive emotions you have. We are going to go into that, so I'm not going to jump the gun, Nisheeta. But one simple thing I would like to say to increase your energy is chew and move. So the food that you eat, we'll not go into what food and all that. There are lots of books and websites that you can reach out to. In our second book, Happiness Express, we've mentioned that you become your own diet detective. What food is best for you? Your body will tell you. You don't need an expert. You don't need a nutritionist or whatever to tell you. Just you observe how you feel after you have the food 1 hour later. That will give you an idea of whether the food is good for you or not. So chew more. Whatever food you eat, if you chew more, you will realize that you can take so much energy, so much of nutrients will come to you from that food. It is amazing. I'll give you one personal example. On Sunday mornings, we have this ritual. No, we go to some place, we go to a gaushala in the ashram, and we have the tea of the gaushala milk and some nice poha there. It's delicious. We look forward to that Sunday. But incidentally, I have my courses also on Sunday. So if I'm conducting an advanced course, it has its time 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And that day, whenever we reach, we do intermittent fasting. So we have at about 9:30 or so the breakfast. So I'm always in a rush. I have to get back to my class. And I have seen this consistently. I have noted this, that day the food is very good. There's no doubt about that. But I feel a little more bloated. I feel a little gassy. And the moment I started noticing, then a few Sundays I practiced this. I said, okay, fine. If I have a class at 10, I'll reach there at 8:30. Eat without the hurry. The mind is not running and rushing somewhere. And I noticed that the problems that I was having of that vata, that gas, suddenly went away. The mindset you eat with makes a lot of difference. And that shows in how you chew your food. So let's make it just very simple. Chew and move. Okay. So second is, yes, Nisheeta.
Next, are you alluding to the fact that David, the CEO I talked about, might not have had the right diet?
Possible, but more than that is how many of the people who are in a rush, how they eat. The mind is running. The mind is not with the food. So we are not eating mindfully. So it does not become part of the body or our mind effectively.
This is a very interesting point, because I actually spoke to him last week and he told me he's turned vegetarian or vegan, I don't remember, and he now eats, very at particular times and so on. So it is possible. And he's now starting his own venture. So I'm assuming he's jumped over the inertia block.
Very good. It helps a lot, the way we eat.
Any questions from any of us? I see some in just feel free to make this interactive. It makes it more interesting. I see a question around what is
energy? Can we define energy?
Yeah, actually, no, I have some understanding of this acupressure and acupuncture. So the very essence of the topic that starts from energy itself, it is already there in our body, right? So I just want to understand from your context what you really try to say energy in this context.
Yes, you're right. Energy, that what acupuncture uses is the chi, or what in Sanskrit we call prana. That subtle life force energy. When we have more, we feel high, we feel more focused. When the energy is low, like Nisheeta said, there is that inertia block that comes in, mind gets distracted, runs all over the place. So more prana, which comes from these four sources, food or sleep or breath or a happy mind, this will break through that energy, that inertia block that many a times we face, and we are not even aware of. So everything is fine, but then we are in such a rush, yet the inertia block can hold us back.
It's there's an interesting early warning signal to the inertia block. So when do you know that you might be beginning to slip into it? And I actually picked this up from Dinesh and his counterparts, not the inertia, but the signal, knowing about the signal. It's when you start to doubt that your energy is likely low at that point in time. Have I articulated it correctly, Dinesh?
Yes, we tend to doubt the good things in life. So,
and you doubt when your energy is lower.
That's right.
Which is perhaps circling back to, David, the CEO, not wanting to take on more despite having the ideas, perhaps, doubting his own ability. I don't know. So.
True. So that inertia can reduce the risk appetite, as somebody was mentioning. It can reduce the drive to take more things, go beyond our comfort zone, venture into the courage zone. So all those things will happen because this is a very subtle, but very evident, yet very evident block that can stop us. So one is chew, as I said, and the other is also move. The more we move the body, the more the prana will flow, the more the energy levels will be up. Yeah. And of course, the breathing will be proper. So opposite of sleep, rest is activity. So when we are moving the body more, our energy levels will tend to be higher than when we are more sedentary during the day. Just start noticing this.
So, before we move on to obstacle 2, and I know there's a lot of thoughts on obstacle 1 itself. Maybe if there's time toward the end, we can delve further into it. But there's a lovely story actually that the same HBR article talks about, and it speaks about a 37-year-old partner in a consulting firm, Steve Warner, they called him. Married, 4 young children. He'd worked 12 to 14 hours a day and just felt perpetually exhausted. He found it difficult then to engage with his family in the evenings and then felt guilty about that. Warner's experience is not uncommon, is it? And then, to overlay that with his other habits, he slept poorly at night. He was very regularly grabbing a bite on the go, and his energy just plummeted. So it does inevitably take its toll on you physically, mentally, emotionally. And like they said, the core problem with working longer hours like Warner chose to do at that time is that time is a finite resource, right? Whereas energy is not. So you fix the energy, you can unlock a lot. But moving on to obstacle 2, because we can keep talking about energy. So obstacle 2 is what I call the thought block. Now, this in a way is a level deeper. So you may have energy, for instance, but it's your thoughts that are stalling your success. So here's another story, actually 2, of 2 CEOs I coached that both had what I call the thought block. Now, both of them, let's call one of them Bharat and let's call one of them Bala. And both Bharat and Bala refused to network. So let's do a little role play. I'm going to play Bharat. Can somebody play me? Who'd like to do that? All you need to do is ask me why I don't network.
Okay, if the job is so easy, I will do that.
Great, let's add you, Ujjwal. Okay, Ujjwal. So I'm Bharat, and I just don't like networking now. Over to you.
So when did you last meet up with your friends, with your college friends who were study buddies?
No, friends is okay, Ujjwal. I like to spend time with friends. It's the networking that I don't do.
Right. So have you been to, when did you catch up with your peers in your industry? Did you meet up recently? What kind of discussions did you end up having with them?
At social gatherings, I meet them, but would I proactively network with them for networking's sake? The answer is no.
And why is that?
Why? Ujjwal, I think it's just not me. I'm not wired like that. Also networking is something that a lot of people are good at, but a lot of people also do to further their own personal agenda.
Right, but networking doesn't need to be, you just need to be curious, right? Wouldn't you want to be interested in knowing what's happening in their industry, what kind of problems, personal problems they are facing and how are they overcoming, or what are the new things they're learning? So it's just being curious.
So Ujjwal can be my executive coach next time. Thank you, Ujjwal.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. So that was Bharat for you. Doesn't network because he says, he would say it's not me. And I just, it's something that people do to further their own personal agenda. That was his thought process. Let's quickly move to Bala. Who'd like to be coach this time? All you need to do is ask me why I don't network. Just feel free to unmute and ask.
I'll do that.
Okay, Piyush, let's add you.
I think that's Radharaman who said.
Yes.
Who was that? Sorry.
Radha, yeah.
I'm not able to locate you. Sushma, can you add?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Hello.
Great. Hi.
So great.
Yes.
Good to meet you, Bala, right? Hara.
Yes, Bala.
Bala. Okay. So yeah, Bala. Why is it that you seem to be a little cut off, a little bit introverted?
So rather, it's not that I'm introverted. I just don't network with people proactively, like some of my peers would do.
Sure. So do you see this as an impediment to your role as the CEO?
Look, Radharaman, I think this is not important in my role. I don't think the role requires it. So I would ask you, why are you even, why are we discussing this when the role doesn't require it?
Yeah, but unless you actually connect with, your colleagues and also peers, the industry knowledge and knowledge of, say, government actions and things like that will not come to you in an informal channel. So one is the informal channel and one is the formal channel. The informal channel is equally important, and networking does help you there.
Great. So Radharaman, you can be Bala's coach. And as somebody has said in the chat box, networking is net worth. So thank you, Radha.
Thank you.
So you notice both Bharat and Bala don't network. Both have their own reasons, their own thought process. Both have their own thought blocks. And both their thought blocks are stalling them from success in their role, at least until we started our coaching partnership. So interestingly, in just one conversation in the coaching partnership, Bala bust his thought block. It took one conversation. Bharat took a little more time. It was a couple of conversations over a few weeks. You know how some people just like to really believe in what they're saying, and some people like to argue. You may know some people like that at work, perhaps at home, I don't know. But both overcame their thought block. And that's what really successful people do. They invite people to challenge their thinking. They invite people to be a sounding board, this is not a sales pitch for me, but they invite people to really challenge their notion of things, to challenge their thought. And Dinesh is a master of thoughts, or shall I say no thoughts, Dinesh?
Yes. The mind is quite interesting. In the realm of the mind, if we put too much effort, then it is counterproductive. You have to go effortless. And that is where the practice of the ancient as well as modern practice of meditation comes into play for being so effective in handling our mind. If you look at all the greatest inventions or discoveries, many of them were made in a state of relaxed alertness. So Newton did not discover gravity when he was at the desk, pondering over some equations and stuff. No, he was just sitting, chilling, and then something fell to the ground and said, why is it falling this way? Why is it not going that way? The whole periodic table by Mendeleev was, he saw it in a dream, or he was just about to sleep. The benzene ring structure was made where he saw three snakes eating each other up. In relaxed states, Archimedes had that eureka moment in a bathtub. So many of our best thoughts, don't they come when you're in the bathroom? When you're relaxed, when the mind is relaxed. How can we train our mind to be in that way? That is the practice of meditation. Just giving a few minutes can make a huge difference. So whatever I've heard from Nisheeta about the second and the third block, we will take it together. If we have time, we could do a 10-12 minutes meditation. Is that okay, Nisheeta? Is that okay
I
with
think that
everyone?
Lee, what would the rest of us like? Would we like to experiment with a little meditation? Dinesh is also a master of meditation. Yes, sure, yes. So
We will see
maybe
how
to
time
touch
goes.
on the third block, because as Dinesh was saying, they're, in a way, both related. And the third block is what I call the feeling block. And this is quite hard to explain because it's a feeling, but it's even one level deeper. So it's not your thoughts stalling your success, but you're just feeling something. I mean, you're intrinsically, it's visceral. You're feeling uncomfortable. You can't help it. It's just a feeling inside. So Dinesh, you would say that meditation helps at that level as well?
Definitely. That sixth sense or the hunch, many times we say gut feeling, that can be trained to be enhanced, to be made proper. Instead of being covered with our likes and dislikes, cravings and aversions, our set patterns, we can look beyond that and see beyond the data that we already have, something beyond. And I feel that is also a mark of success. You see more clearly than what others would in any situation. Yeah, whether it's a problem or whether it's an opportunity to expand, diversify, so that intuition can be definitely enhanced with the practice of meditation.
So how is it sounding so far? We've talked about the inertia block. We've talked about the thought block. We've talked about the feeling block. And actually the fourth block is my favorite and also the hardest. And I call it the invisible block too. So would we, any thoughts, any questions? Would we like to do a little, experience a little technique that Dinesh can walk us through that helps disassociate thoughts and feelings from our actions, something that successful people do now, yeah? And then we'll move to the fourth block after that. Great.
Okay. So should we do that? A little meditation? Yeah. Okay, cool. I mentioned for the first block, chew and move. Okay, so just a little movement before we go still for a few minutes. I would like you to just shake your hands, shake your head with a few deep breaths. Your shoulders, maybe you can do a little ballet, just pump the shoulders up and down. Because we tend to hold on a lot of strain and stress in this region, the neck and shoulder. Very good. And just a few movements which are good for the spine, because we do so much sitting and the body does not like sitting. In fact, sitting is the new smoking. So let's just move the spine. You can fold your hands like that in front. And on the sides, you breathe out. In the middle, you breathe in. If you take the hands at different levels, you relax and release different vertebrae in the spine. Yeah. So one movement is the twist of the spine. The other is the bend. So let's just bend. See if we can move out of our screen. So breathe in as you come up, breathe out as you go down.
So Dinesh has been teaching some of these techniques for 25 plus years, and to do it in like a little group like we are today is quite a privilege directly with him.
Good. Okay. You will start feeling that little sparkle or a little buzz that is there as we move. Just one last movement is breathe in. The third is the arch of the spine. And then breathe out. You can hug yourself. And open up your shoulders, take them back and down. And with the lower back rested, supported, let's close our eyes for a few minutes. Is that okay for everyone? Take it as a challenge. So meditation is just like sleep, but with a gentle awareness. So feel as if you're going to now sleep, doze off for the next 10 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever. Nothing to do, nothing to know, nowhere to go. I'm just being here. For a few minutes, I'm dropping all the labels that I put on myself, the thought blocks. For a few minutes, I'm just dropping and being nothing, being nobody. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take an energizing breath in. The incoming breath energizes. And breathe out. Feel the relaxation. The outgoing breath relaxes the whole body. Every cell of the body feels the energy as we breathe in. And every cell of the body feels the relaxation as we breathe out. With the eyes closed and the body still, effortlessly, just become aware of the surroundings and listen to all the sounds around. Whether you are in office or at home, some sounds from around. Maybe some traffic noises, chirping of the birds, sound of insects. Sound of the air conditioning, or that of your own breath. Right now, we don't want to fix anything. We don't want to control anything. Whatever is happening, let it be. Feel you're in total harmony with the surroundings. With this acceptance of whatever is happening around, take a deep breath in and breathe out, relax. Effortlessly become aware of your physical body. Your body is a precious gift to you from nature. Honor your body. Respectfully, joyfully, just become aware of your feet, your knees, thighs and hips. Just with a gentle awareness, notice your legs are softening, relaxing. Let your awareness roll up to the genitals, abdomen and stomach region. Chest, shoulders and the back. Right arm, left arm, throat and the neck, face, top of the head and the back of the head. Become aware of your whole body. The whole body. The whole body. Take a deep breath in and let go. Relax more and more. Keeping the body soft and loose. Effortlessly become aware of your thoughts. Like clouds in the sky, if thoughts are flowing in the mind, it is all right. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, let them be. Do not resist any thoughts, let them come and go. Just witness and relax more and more. Take a deep breath in and let go. Relax. Subtler than the thoughts, become aware of your feelings. Pleasant or unpleasant, just be with them. You are peace. You are a fountain of joy and love. Repose in your very nature. Repose in yourself. You are peace. You are a fountain of joy and love. Relax more and more. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Become aware of your feelings. Become aware of your thoughts. Become aware of all the sensations in the body. Become aware of your surroundings. With a few deep, joyful breaths, you may bring a little movement in the body. Move your fingers, wriggle your toes, keeping the eyes closed. You may stretch your arms, back, and the neck. May the peace, the energy, and the clarity from the meditation continue forth into our life, into our relationships and work. With a smile, you may slowly open your eyes. Feels good?
Half the people would have slept. So you just reminded me of Goenka ji for after a long time.
Yeah, it's a feeling close to sleep, but not exactly sleep. You know why? Because you are aware, isn't it? When I told you to open your eyes or gave the instructions, you were still aware. So with that awareness, gentle awareness, there is deep rest. That's why you feel awesome. You feel energized.
And this was such a short, beautiful, easy technique. And there are actually many more. So those of us who would like to know more, Sushma, could we put out that Google form? Just feel free to fill that in. And whenever there's a private session around these things or talks that we do, we'll extend the invitation to you. And also if you'd like to, techniques like this, I personally know, I think about 2,000 people, alumni from our circle and colleagues and friends who do practice these every single day. And all of them swear by it. So, but if you'd still like to read up a little more, techniques like this do wonders in terms of dissolving the thought blocks, the feelings, etc. But if you're still interested in reading up more on it, there's a LinkedIn article, Sushma, if we could share that as well. So at a later point, feel free to go through that. And do we feel like knowing what the fourth obstacle is, or are we happy with the... Okay, let's touch upon it briefly. This is very interesting, the fourth one, because it's the least visible. And it's also harder to understand. And I would say one way to start to understand it is to ask yourself, what do I get my kick out of? So literally, there are days when you have that spring in your step every morning. So what is giving you that spring in your step? And don't say it's because, you're falling in love, because that's out of syllabus right now. But what is really, giving you that spring in your step? What's giving you deep satisfaction? We're just talking about still in a work context. So really, really intrinsic satisfaction. Counting your blessings. Yeah, those kind of things. What makes you feel like that? And it's not, marrying Brad Pitt or marrying Angelina Jolie, because we all know where that ended up. It's not joining the billionaire club. I can tell you that there are a lot of billionaires who don't feel that intrinsic satisfaction that we speak about. Being grateful, yeah, all those things. But Dr. David McClelland at the Hay McClelland Center at Harvard, over a period of about 40 plus years, studied this. And he asked this question to executives across continents. So he did a very, very wide global study. And he really asked them what they got their kick out of. And this is not really visible, what you get your kick out of. But over a period of time, he synthesized his findings and he drilled it down into what he called 3 very, very intrinsic needs in a work context that people have. Now, it's an interesting thing to read about offline if you'd like to know more. But what we wanted to talk about today is how an intrinsic need that you might have essentially fuels you, makes you act in a certain way. And then because you act in that way, you get satisfied. And because you're satisfying that need, you're again repeating that action. And this continues and continues and continues. Now, it may be constructive, it may not be constructive. But because you're getting your kick out of it, because you're getting satisfied each time you do it, you're continuing that. You can't help it. In a way, it becomes your pattern. So I know some of us have been on talks together, but does anyone remember the story of Arthur and Alexander? I'll just briefly talk about Arthur today, and that will maybe start to give you a sense of McClelland's work. Arthur was somebody I coached. He was a sales director in a company, massive company, large team, sales director. And Arthur was somebody who would send emails to his team members every night at 2 a.m., middle of the night, all marked on high priority. So that was Arthur for you, always talking, never listening. And even in his spiritual life, Arthur was talking to God. He wouldn't listen. And then there was Brent, another CEO actually, who I coached, who was very much like Arthur again. And I'm reminded of him because they had the same intrinsic, one of those 3 intrinsic needs that McClelland talked about. And Brent again was very, very prescriptive. So he was notorious for his daily status checks on his team, on his extended team, and so on. Now, as you can imagine, nobody likes a micromanager. So both Arthur and Brent's team, felt stifled fairly quickly, and it affected their business. So these are Arthur and Brent, and these are their patterns, and they're doing it time and time and time and again. And that's because McClelland said they stem from this fundamental need to achieve. And I picked that single one out this evening because that's something that I would say that most of us, having worked with multiple people over 2 decades, I can say that most of us in our circle have a very high need to achieve. And that's not a bad thing. It's gotten us to where we are. But, we get this kick from achieving. So whether it's about meeting targets or, setting a goal and then achieving that, or even just, sort of doing something new, doing something unique, that's also an achievement. So this fundamental need to achieve is what McClelland spoke about extensively. And the reason it's one of the big blocks in my mind is because I call it the pattern block, is because, as McClelland pointed out as well, it's actually the one thing that holds people back from being successful in the long run. So, you know, it serves its purpose, but think about it. There's so many downsides to this, you know, need for achievement. It made Arthur and Brent micromanage. Brent used to even take it home. He would tell his wife how to arrange cutlery in the dishwasher every single day. So you micromanage, or on the other hand, you get hands-on, you know, and that has its own repercussions. And you do it because you think that that's the best way to get things done quickly. You get to the outcome faster if you just do it yourself. But is that what makes somebody successful in the long run? Is that what is going to make you a CEO, for instance, if you aren't already one? And McClellan's work pointed out to actually the perfect CEO profile, as he called it. And if there's one thing to take away from his work, it's that, you know, effective CEOs have learned over a period of time to restrain their need for achievement. And that's a big one. Dinesh, any thoughts on this, on patterns?
I was reminded of a quote. It says that in trying to finish the tasks of life, don't miss out on the purpose of life. The sense for achievement is this finishing our to-do list, the task. It is important, yeah, but it should not take you away from your bigger goal in life, the legacy that you're going to leave. And I remember in one of the talks, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar had said that, you know, a candle, just a little light of the candle can, it can, you know, sort of spoil the rays of a full moon. So now suppose you're sitting with the lights off and the full moon is shining outside, such a beautiful, you know, those white rays that come. But that little candle can spoil that beauty of it. Similarly, our little jobs that we do, they are important in their own sense, but they should not spoil the beauty of our bigger purpose, why we are here. That's all I have to say.
You know, the good news is that though McClellan researched patterns for 40 years, he believed that you can't change them. So if you have, you know, a very, very high need for achievement, he said it's actually hardwired in your brain by the age of 7 and you can't change it. Now, the good news is that Dinesh and his counterparts and I have seen that you can actually work through patterns and overcome them. So it's 8 o'clock. If anybody, just one or maybe two people would like to share something or ask anything, we can maybe spend 2 minutes. Otherwise, feel free to unmute. Otherwise, our invitation to you is to really think about one thing that you've taken away from today, because we've talked about a lot. I know it's, you know, just from my own personal experience, I know it's taken me 20 years to arrive at this. So what is one takeaway for you? And Santosh has a question. How to know? Santosh, would you like to share your question? Feel free to unmute. Why we are here.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mr. Dinesh talked about this just now, about the purpose and not to reduce our life's activity as task, but to look at the purpose. And he talked about legacy also. So it is quite, I mean, I don't know how to label that, but it is a puzzle for me also. If we can throw some light on this, I mean, how to know why we are here.
Okay, so I will respond back with a question to you, saying, suppose you had $1 billion in your bank account right now. Right now, you had $1 billion in your bank account. What would you be doing? Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, immediately I will think about meeting my immediate needs.
That's taken care of. You have $1 billion. You have maybe 100 people to take care of all that.
Yeah, so then I'm satisfied, I think. I
Then
don't
what
know
would
how
you
I
do?
will be spending that $1 billion.
No, well, when you have $1 billion, you're not really worried about how to spend it. You can buy a country if you want or whatever. I'm saying, what would you do at that point? If you notice, that's why most people in this billionaire club and stuff, so when they have achieved the riches, the fame, the power, then they start thinking, okay, what can I leave back? When I go, how would I like to be remembered when I'm gone? That's why they turn towards philanthropy. That's why they go into more altruistic, work mode.
Yes, but may I ask you, I mean, outside of the borders of India, I don't know, but in India, there is something called corporate social responsibility, which kind of mandates them to spend some 2% of their net profit. So I don't know to what extent this factor is kind of contributing to their philanthropic contribution. But my knowledge beyond India's border is limited. So how do you know, I mean, they are really moved by this element of contributing and making their name through philanthropy?
You have enough and more examples, no? See how people, after reaching a certain point, after having that one bungalow in every, continent or city, so many places to live and the best of cars to travel by, having a jet airplane of your own. Now, then you start thinking, okay, fine, there is a limit to this. Then what more? What more? I would like to leave you with that question. I don't like to answer it, but I would like to leave you with
May I
that.
chime in with something?
Yeah, sure.
I think one other way, the way you asked that question, what do you do with $1 billion? I think the side that you're a contributor to society is one, but I think what also that does is free up your mind to think, so most of my things that I worry on a day-to-day basis is taken care of. So what is really important to me is what I can think of then. I think that is so much closer to what we think is important to us. Not money, maybe not success or I don't know, prestige in front of people, really the things that are core to our heart. So in that state, I guess people could look at what it is that they really crave for, because nothing else really matters then.
Right, right.
Yeah.
One of my teachers had given one more, way to look at it. He says, suppose every person on the planet earned only 20,000 rupees. Whatever you do, you only earn 20,000 rupees. Whether you are, do you do agriculture, you are a CEO, you are the peon, the whatever it is, you earn only $20,000. Then what would you like to do? Different ways to arrive at, let's say the purpose of our life.
But it's a big question, and don't expect an immediate answer. But I think what Dinesh has shared is a great thing to sleep over. Sharika, to your question, McClellan's 3 intrinsic motives were one that we spoke about, the need for achievement. The second was just the fundamental need for affiliation. Some people like harmonious relationships. That's what nourishes them truly. And the third was what he called the need for power, not in a derogatory way, but just, some people get their satisfaction about influencing through making an impact and so on. So it's very interesting work. He has a paper on an HBR paper. If you can't locate it, feel free to connect on LinkedIn. I'll find it. I'll get the name for you. And someone's asked about the one and only key, Raghunath, to unlock all these 3 blocks. So my invitation to you would be actually to, maybe read a bit more on these blocks. Perhaps that LinkedIn article, which Sushma posted, could help. Sushma, would you mind sharing it again? And then really, I invite you to play this game with yourself. So observe yourself, see what you're doing, how you're thinking during the day. I mean, now we have a weekend, could do that perhaps, but once work starts on Monday. And just observe what block you think might be popping up when. And I think that's a great starting point. And then busting, of course, is step 2. I don't recollect the name of the article, but I think if you Google HBR, yes, destructive potential of overachievers. That's what it was called. So that was all about reining back your need for achievement, and how that's so critical to be successful. So happy to stay connected offline. Sushma has shared my LinkedIn profile. Dinesh, you're on LinkedIn as well, right?
Yes.
Yes. And Sushma has shared, have you shared the book, Dinesh?
I'll share it, ma'am.
Yes, if you could share that again, Sushma, that would be lovely. This is a fantastic book. It's a bestseller in its category. And their previous books, Dinesh and Khurshid Batliwala's previous books were ultimate bestsellers. So this new book of theirs is Sleep Your Way to Success. I would really invite everybody to read it. I've just bought 50 to gift it to all my friends. It's that good. And maybe just in closing, two closing comments. One is, as I've been, engaging with all of us today and with Dinesh and all of us talking together, the one thing that has struck me is that actually all the obstacles we've talked about are not external. They're all very internal. All those stories I talked about of the CEOs, the obstacles were completely internal. And I would say that is one closing thought. And actually it reminds me of Einstein, because he used to say, he apparently used to say that you can't solve a problem with your consciousness, because that's where the problem originated from originally. So fix your inner field, and then your actions and the outer just falls into place. And second closing comment, everything I said about the chemistry between us and about Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, this is not representative of coaching discussions that I have with people. It's a Friday night today, so I've taken the liberty of feeling like it's a Friday night. But it's been wonderful to be with all of you. And thank you once again, Sushma and the IIMB Alumni Office. It's always a pleasure. And look forward to being in touch. And thank you so much, Dinesh, for making the time. Despite the multiple commitments you have all over the world, I appreciate it very much. We all do.
It's a pleasure. Really, it's my joy to share.
Thank you, and all the very best to all of us.
Thank you, Nisheeta ma'am and Dinesh. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.